So, yeah, this is practice day for DB14. Welcome. And I realise that we're on the same time. I just remembered as the Super Bowl. So that might make a difference in terms of two or three people not attending. Who knows, But anyway, quite a few of us are here. What time is the Super Bowl? 3 till 5:30. It's around about this time. No, yeah, we're not Super Bowl fan. If we were, we wouldn't be here, because it's a major. Our director Ryan is a New England fan, so he's like for sure he's there. He's not there, but he's watching. Yeah, looking forward to it. Well, I kind of understand the excitement a little bit because, as Joe knows, being from Scotland, the Scottish football team got into the World Cup. Just getting into the World Cup for Scotland's a big deal. There's a lot of excitement around that. So, of course, there'll be less excitement once they start playing in the World Cup because they usually start getting beat quite quickly. But, the
We've been
excitement
given a
lasts.
national holiday.
Pardon?
We've been given a national holiday.
For the first game or something?
Yes,
Okay, yeah, I
it's
can
that
imagine
momentous.
it's that exciting, it's that important. I mean, as we see, for many people, football's like their kind of religion, yeah. It's like that men a lot in Europe. It's like that's the thing they're passionate about. So here we want to be passionate about realizing the nature of our mind, realizing emptiness, getting realizations. And that's what's so inspiring. And I do encourage you all, when you have the opportunity to be around, especially lamas, high lamas, like Chado Rimshi, who just came, Yumi Kenzer Rimshi Losan Jampa, who lives in this area some months of the year. It really impact, and I see it more and more, how much it sort of activates my practice a little bit more, when you're in their presence, because they're sitting there with some realize, at least some, if not all, I don't know, but you definitely, can see that it impacts your mind, it gives a boost of inspiration. So, and we need that. We need that a lot, for our minds to change. It's so difficult. It's not impossible, but it's hard to change some of the tougher habits. So, anyway, welcome to this practice day. So today, what we're going to do is do some Tara practice. So I have a Tara practice that we've been doing. Stan's been joining me. I don't know, Rick, did you come to the Tara practice as well? No, couldn't remember. You came to something, but maybe it's just this. Yeah, it's this one. But Stan's been joining, but we're going to do that Tara practice. I'm actually leading a Tara retreat over Losar. So that means 100 million times. We're coming up to Losar soon. So according to some particular texts that Rinpoche quoted, found in the Kangyur, and it's common knowledge in the Tibetan tradition, that this over those days of miracles starting February 18 to March 3rd, whatever we do, it's a very powerful time spiritually. Merits multiply 100 million times whatever we do. It's kind of a little bit hard to wrap around mind around, but because of this specific energy around that time, it was a time when the Buddha displayed 16 miracles over 16 days to subdue those who had wrong views, tartikas, and to inspire people to practice the Mahayana path, as opposed to simply achieving self-liberation. So somehow, and it's always, the Tibetan year, the first 16 days, between the new moon and the full moon. So whatever we do in that time, according to the text, certain texts, I don't have the name off the top of my head, multiplies 100 million times. So we try to focus on virtue here. So it's a very good time if you want to, practice generosity, you want to take precepts, attend more teachings, do some purification. If you decided, oh, I want to donate to this center, that center, or this organization, do it in those 16 days because it's much more meritorious. If you have a plan for the year, then try and do it those days. There's another 3 days in the year when we also, it's also powerful. But they're like when the Buddha achieved enlightenment, when the Buddha first taught the Dharma, and when the Buddha descended. So they're later in the year, and always you'll be aware of them if you're around Dharma centers. But this is special because it's 16 days of 100 million merits. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche often, anyway, Rinpoche didn't sleep much, but Rinpoche literally never took any rest on he didn't lie down for sure those 16 days. I remember Roger saying Rinpoche was so busy those 16 days that he had, I don't know, he had some teachings or performed some initiations. And all, hundreds of people were coming up, to offer the katas. And Rinpoche was so tight. Roger was holding his hand to bless everybody. Because Rinpoche had been going 100 and, I don't know, a gillion%. So, of course, we can't do that, and we go a bit crazy if we try to do that. Believe you me, I tried a little bit in the beginning and I realized I'm just going to go crazy. Don't have the realizations to back up that level of practice. But either way, it's very, even the lamas show the aspect that that's a powerful time for practice. So to bear that in mind, if there's something particular meritorious you're thinking of doing, trying to do it in that time, and that we're also having the Tara retreat during that time. So yeah, today, I have to say I'm not super prepared today because I sort of got off the flight in Santa Fe and went to 5 days teachings with Shadow Rinpoche, and then here we are today, but I'm sure we'll get there. As I said, we want to do some practice, so I'm going to go through, I think we'll just go through one time that in a long way the Tara practice, and then I think we'll do that over an hour or so, and I'll take a short break halfway through as we go through the practice. Because, yeah, this is Introduction to Tantra. This is the module. And the idea is that we start, after a while, we get inspired to do some basic tantric practice. So Tara's a great way to start. Many of us feel a connection with the Tara practice. So it's a great way to start and see how the sadhana is laid out, how a tantric sadhana is laid out. And of course, if you do this with the Tara practice, then you can also do it with the Chenrezig, with Medicine Buddha, White Tara. There's a few deities, Manjushri, many Kriya Tantra. This is Kriya Tantra deities. So once you learn how to do with one sadhana, usually you can apply it to the rest. You get familiar with the prayers. So then you can, easily skip to do the Chenrezig, depending on what deity you want to focus on. So it gives you so we just do the Tara here, and then you can always use it, having the prayers there. So that's why I thought it'd take a while to go through the sadhana so we understand some of the prayers. We're actually, and also after this module at Ocean of Compassion, I'm doing so this module's not completely finished because this around the DB is not totally finished. There is a special integration module practice where we go through the preliminary. We're going to talk a little bit about the preliminary practices, what importance they have. So we're going to do a few classes at Ocean of Compassion on those in March. I think it is March, and then something else in May, I think, on again going through some of these prayers, trying to get familiar with some of these, because we can't just jump into Tantra. We need some other prayers to make the practice powerful. So we're going to go through some of those in the next couple of modules after this, preliminary practices, and then just like ritual, puja, mantra, how it works, and maybe some of us feeling more comfortable with some of the prayers and the mudras, so we can participate more in pujas and praxis and slowly keep developing our own practice. So anyway, today, share screen, I'm going to share this practice that we're doing. And here. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it like that. Oh, you don't see it there. It's not sharing. Can you see that can you see the Tara practice on the screen? Oh, yeah, it's coming. Oh, yeah, you can see it there. Yeah. Okay, great. Just took a minute here. All right. So see Anna Marie's here too. This is Anna Marie's coming at the Tara retreat at Vajrapani. This is the sadhana we're going to use at Vajrapani. And the thing is with Tantra, once you do a retreat, in it, you get very familiar with the prayers, you know, then there's some it become like second nature, you know. They just feel complicated in the beginning. But Diane, you've also been doing some of the Chinrisic practice, yeah? So you might be familiar. Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, you do more green Tara, great. Okay. So, and then also part of this today, we're going to chant a few Tara praises as well. They're very powerful for removing obstacles. So, of course, Tara is very powerful. What does Tara do? Let me just, instead of me talking, Tara again, maybe someone online. What's Tara's kind of quality, emphasis? How does she help us? Anyone want to put their hand up? Yes, Ladan.
Yes, thank you. Uh, Venerable Tara help us very swiftly um, in like cleansing our path. If we want something, we ask her, and she's very fast
Yes.
for helping us.
And where is this showing through a little bit? What does her color represent? That's part of what you're saying, Ladan. Maybe someone else. That green color, Anna Marie. Maybe you know. What's the color green representing?
I'm not sure I know necessarily. I think of
That's
her
okay.
as equanimity and love and compassion.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
her
she
foot's
definitely
out to us to help us.
definitely embodies that. Green color. Anyone remember, or maybe I don't know. Maybe Bay, the green color. Oh, Neil. Neil. Yes.
Um, okay, just from what I understand, Tara, the green color, is about renewal and youth and vitality and healing, expansion in our heart, about compassion. Um, and this is just what I know. And that most of all, she is our protection.
Yes.
And she is, if you will, a goddess of pure femininity. And she's a blessing for youthful vitality, I think. And for myself, she enriches my heart and helps to expand my own compassion with others, especially myself.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. She does all that, you know. It's all nice stuff. Joanne? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joanne's saying protection against the 8 fears or dangers. There's 8 fears that she protects from, which I'm not going to go into today, but there are 8 fears. And because also she's the fear, you know, she's the protector from fears. So there are 8 particular fears, and dangers and obstacles. And the green color also, actually, in this case, of course, she's got a fertile female energy, but the green color is actually representing the wind element. I mean, it's not super important. Everything you all shared was perfect as well, you know. But the green colour here symbolises the wind, the sorry, air or wind element, and that's her swiftness, you know, because just like the wind, you know, a swift wind or strong wind cleans away the place, you know, cleans up everything. Like that, she moves on this kind of, you know, pure wind element. All the Buddhas do, you know, but certain colours represent sometimes a sort of particular purified energy. All the Buddhas are all completely purified. Doesn't matter what Buddha you do, but they activate certain, you know, they sort of purify certain elements. As I say, Tara's purifying fears and obstacles here, you know, and she does it through the power of kind of being driven on this pure wind element, just like and also the right foot forward, again, is signifying that swiftness, how quickly she comes to our help. She's always there. It's not that the Buddhas aren't always there, but that right leg forward is showing kind of her prayers. You know, her prayer was always to help. like a mother, not just with like, of course, ultimate obstacles, obstacles that obscure us for liberation and enlightenment, but just everyday needs as well, temporary needs that we need while we are ordinary beings. We have temporary needs. We need food, clothing, shelter, ideally good conditions to practice and the right conditions, and they change as we develop. But in the beginning, we need to have a good place to practice. We need teachers. We need the right conditions. So she can also help to kind of remove obstacles to that and bring about what we need, just like a caring friend or mother, bringing us everything we kind of not necessarily want, but what we kind of need for our spiritual evolution and sort of chipping away at the fears and obstacles. The practice of the chanting of the 21 taras is specifically powerful for that, because you're invoking not just the green tara, but all these different aspects of tara who remove different types of fears and obstacles, inner and outer, and sort of more secret obstacles that we need to be removed. So just, yeah, very much in a nutshell, that's what Tara is. I'm not going to talk about that too long. Today's just an opportunity to just kind of slowly go through the practice one time. And then we'll stop and we'll stop for, I'm going to go through about halfway and then we'll have a 10-minute break. So in that break, it's just like pee-pee break, just holding, we're not going to talk, just keep silence and just, if you need to go to the restroom or anything like that, do that. And then we come back and finish the practice. And then we'll have like a 15-minute break and then we'll have some question answer. And then I want to do the death process meditation today, because that's part of the tantric teachings, what does it look like internally when we pass away. Some of us have probably done this before, so I'll just guide you through that meditation at the very end of the day, because that's also very key, that meditation, especially when we move into high yoga tantra practice. Like some His Holiness, these lamas, they meditate on that process every day. They have a lot of clarity around it, but we need to just we're allowed at this level to have an awareness, at least what the points that look like when we pass. What kind of appearances might come to the mind. So we'll do that at the end of the day today. But in the meantime, we'll do 2 sessions of Tara, just going through the practice in a slow way. So we'll do about half an hour now, have a short break and about another half hour. Right, so let's just settle into meditation position. Couple of deep breaths just to expel that kind of afternoon energy that can creep up on us. And since this breathing technique actually belongs to tantric class, the 9-round breathing, we can do that as well. So generally what we try to do is kind of, first of all, start with a feeling of the body being less concrete and solid. More kind of the nature like a balloon, with very thin skin like a balloon, and kind of being more in the air and space inside. It's called the hollow body. Air, space, a bit of light. So just kind of absorbing the heavy concrete sense of self and making it a bit more light body with a very thin skin. And then within that body, this is our more subtle body. You see, we have a gross body, subtle body, very subtle body. Just like, and I mentioned in the class, we have gross minds, conceptual minds, subtle mind, and then very subtle mind or consciousness. 3 levels. So subtle body has more of this light nature, you know, like a balloon, hollow body. And inside there's many, many, many channels, thousands, I think like 72,000 tiny channels. But the main ones we want to focus on are the 3 channels that run alongside the spine, just in front of the spine, in our gross body, but in the subtle one. So first one is like the central one. So it depends on the Tantra what colour this is. But for now, we'll say it's white in colour. And it runs from the brow all the way up like the top of an umbrella. The handle of an umbrella up through the crown. And then down back of the central body, a few inches below the navel, kind of stops there. It's about the thickness of a bamboo. Then the right one is red, left one is blue. 2 other channels that also run, and they connect at the brow area. And they run from the brow, actually more like the nostril area. From the nostrils all the way up, again, like the handle of an umbrella, around the crown, and go back down the back of the body and they meet more at the bottom of the central channel, just a few inches below the navel. They kind of all meet there at the bottom. Doesn't matter if you don't feel that too much. It's just giving us an idea. Again, this is more on the level of High Yoga Tantra. We do this, but we can still use the breathing technique at this level just to clear. So generally, our wind energy is distorted, distracted. So it moves in those 2 channels, the right and the left one. So our goal eventually is to bring the winds into the central channel, but that's it's not an easy practice. So we just do it at the level of visualization here. So to clear the channels, we're inhaling. First finger of right hand, closing off the left nostril, inhale through the right. So just long, slow, deep breath, keeping the back of the jaw and around the mouth area very soft, you know, and just long, slow, deep inhalation. Imagine it goes down that channel, the right one. And then the stale winds get exhaled through the left channel of the left nostril. Go up and push out the stale winds out of the left nostril. You do that 3 times. You can hold it a little bit as you inhale. Just hold it for the count of 3 or 4, you know, and then exhale through the left. And when you're ready, doing the opposite side, first finger, holding the right nostril, inhale through the left, bring it down through that left side channel to the bottom, just below the navel, and it goes out through the right channel. When we get to the central channel, we breathe in through both nostrils. The wind goes down through the channels and it enters into the central channel. So when we exhale whatever's left over. We try and feel a little bit of that energy. And there's a pure wind going into the central channel just below the navel. And we just imagine that cleans out, you know, it enters there, but then the exhale, whatever's not needed, we exhale. Do that 3 times. And just sit in the moment, see if the mind's a bit more clear, more peaceful. So, of course, you can always do that a couple of times in your own practice. It does help to bring a bit more vitality and clarity to the mind if you do it slowly and deep, more long, deep, breathe more deeply, longer time. You sometimes a bit holding the breath. And then just a couple of minutes for each of us just to be with the breath or your object in meditation, whatever that is. Maybe it's just the mind, you know, clarity of the mind that that exercise brings about, just sitting with that clarity. In that clarity, bringing around about connect, just take a moment to connect with your motivation, your intention. Every action we do with our body, speech, and mind, there's always an intention there. Even if it's not really conscious, which many times it's not, you know, when we really check up. But we did have quite a conscious meditation and motivation for coming today. So what was it? Just bring that to your mind, be clear. So studying the lam-rim, the gradual path to enlightenment, as many of us have done the whole course, we start developing our motivation The start is developing this mind of renunciation. Or as Lama Yeshe says, emerging this determination to emerge from dissatisfaction. To recognize that clearly in our own experience. First of all, what the Buddha taught, the nature is suffering. That we're not quite hitting in our lives, not touching this capacity we have for everlasting peace and happiness. We're just missing the point. Of course, when we have a comfortable life, it doesn't feel like that. You know, but then when we have big problems, then we recognize suffering. Family problems, relationship problems, like the world, you know, a lot of problems in the world right now. So we see it, but we actually have to recognize it more in our, it's like turning inward to recognize it in our own experience. Our saltwater happiness that we're currently experiencing. Moving from one comfort pleasure to the next, but not really experiencing an everlasting state of peace. We have to move from one thing to the next. Then we get tired from that. It's not to beat ourselves up, but this is just getting really clear on the nature of our own samsara. And then, what the special thing with Tantra is, it touches a whole other part of yourself that's way beyond that experience. It's much larger than what we're experiencing right now. It's much more joyful, pure, self-sustaining. Our Buddha nature. That has the capacity to experience everlasting peace and happiness. I mean, maybe we've heard this many times, but somehow when you mix Sutra and Tantra together, I think we get more a direct experience of what the happiness of the mind can be, what the peace, incredible peace when there's no delusions on the mind, or when even they're temporarily taken up, you know. It's like the mind can have so much peace. So the basis of Tantra is, of course, bringing the result into the path. Trying to get that resultant experience now by activating this Buddha nature, this more subtle part of yourself that's always there, but it's just hidden, covered by habits, delusion. It's just habits, you know, thinking that happiness is somewhere out there. And so we have to reverse those habits and activate what Lama would always say, our totality, our nature, our wisdom nature. So the methods of Tantra, a very skillful way to activate that much larger wisdom part of yourself, to bring it out. And then we get a confidence that it's possible to be there always, you know, somehow to get that experience deeper and deeper. So renunciation is really like this determination for spiritual practice. A confidence in our continually residing Buddha nature, our clear light nature, that's more powerful than the delusions that are simply advantageous. So take a moment. Do we feel it's possible to move beyond our limited sense of self. Is it possible to awaken and be kind of close to the mind of Tara, fearless instead of fearful? Developing a confidence in our Buddha nature takes time. But every time, if we keep doing these practices, Sutra and Tantra together, I think definitely the confidence comes because we get some experiences and insights. And what more powerful way than Tara practice? Because removing obstacles, removing fear, removing this feeling of self-limitation. It's what Tara does, you know, and encourages, inspires, opens up, awakens that Buddha nature. So for me and all sentient beings, I'm going to engage in this Tara practice. The world is full of fear right now. So that much more I can be calm, clear, imbued with a type of wisdom that's beyond kind of ordinariness. Doesn't get stuck in what's going on out there. A wisdom that kind of goes beyond what's going on in the space, you know, in front of us. And that much more we have that much more we can benefit. Being a place of peace and clarity no matter whatever's going on. So that's what Tara practice does. So we start by imagining. It's easier if we think like we have there blue, big, deep, nice, clear blue sky all around us. It's like we're sitting in a park, beautiful park. And above us, it's just a, you know, vast blue sky everywhere, pervading our mind. Just allow our mind to be absorbed in the sky, that experience. And then somehow like a rainbow or the image of a moon, you know, just clearly appearing in the sky starts to form, you know, but it's Tara. She's seated kind of like magically appearing in the sky on a lotus, very soft lotus and moon cushion. So everything's made of crystal, kind of clear crystal light. But it's like you can touch with your mind the softness of the lotus, its openness, its fragrance. You can also imagine with your senses, not just your mind consciousness, but all your senses get absorbed in the appearance of Tara. Being very kind of beautiful. Our body appears. This bright, vibrant green colour again. But she's extremely youthful, like 16 years old, but embodying the wisdom of a mother, you know, a deep mother, not young as in no wisdom, but, you know, really born from wisdom. And she's holding in her left hand So our left hand is, thumb and finger are touching, and the three other fingers are up, showing she embodies the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, all objects of refuge. And holding this blue uptala flower in both hands, the right hand is in the mudra of supreme giving or generosity. There's not any slight sense of miserliness or not giving. Everything is open, constantly giving. Supreme generosity is called the mudra. And she's smiling at me. There's a beautiful face, soft smile, soft eyes, and wearing jewels and ornaments. So the jewels and ornaments all embody her quality of generosity, morality, patience. They're made of that quality. Her body's made of compassion. It's made of wisdom. So it doesn't matter what we see. Main thing is the feeling that this vibrant emerald light body, some of them very precious, is in the space before us, radiating inconceivable lights, uplifting our consciousness, keeping us captivated by their appearance. We make a request here. It says, instead above my head, say in the space before me. So we can all say, please remain in the space before me until I receive enlightenment. And we think she accepts that request. Then from our hearts, we take refuge in the outer Tara. The one that's if you have a guru, if you've received initiation from a lama, then you think Lama Tara, Guru Tara. Otherwise, you just think Buddha Tara, taking refuge in you as the outer guru, the outer teacher, the outer guide. Until I become oneness with your stay, I unify my mind with your mind. We make that kind of commitment when we take refuge. I'm doing this practice till my mind is unified with your mind, your body, speech and mind. And all of us here and all sentient beings around us, fast as the mind can see, all seeking refuge together to gain her experience of fully developed wisdom, fully developed compassion. May that ripen in me and all sentient beings. So we feel that, right? Think that, how wonderful that would be as we recite twice in Tibetan, once in English. So we'll do a slow chant of the refuge prayer in Tibetan, so we can just think about that. That's really what we're doing. We're taking refuge in the outer Tara till we achieve and awaken the unification of our mind with Tara. So our mind becomes inner that Tara. They join. That's what Tantra's about. It's also this yoga, deity yoga, joining your mind, unifying your mind with the deity. Sangye chodan sogi chognam la janju bardu dani kyab suji dagi jinso gibe sonam ge drula benjir sange drubar jo sange chodan sogi chognam la janju bardu 다이 겹수지 다기 진속 기베소 남기 롤라 벤지 상게 르바쇼. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merit from giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. Again, just taking a moment to let that just settle in your mind, that prayer, that chant, that aspiration. May I become a Buddha. May I fully awaken. Then this is a basis for our bodhicitta. We have to keep working away at the four immeasurables, bringing them more clearly and vibrantly into our mind, into our heart, unifying our heart with them. Those four qualities. Immeasurable love, so we'll read the first one. All sentient beings, although self and all appearances are dharmadhatu by nature, have not realized it thus. I shall endow with happiness and the causes of happiness. Just think about that for a moment. The next one, I shall separate from suffering and the causes of suffering. So on the basis of immeasurable love, wishing to bring about others' happiness, mainly the causes of happiness. The deeper level of compassion for others is wishing others to be free from the delusions. The agitated mind of attachment, the heavy mind of anger. And of course, as it says in the first verse, the tricky one, the ignorance grasping at true existence, the main troublemaker. So may I and all beings keep having the courage, like the courage of Tara, to chip away at these three in our minds. This is what causes all the upset in our lives, all the drama. What causes birth, old age, sickness, death is ignorance. It's not out there. It's not mum and dad. It's not our friends, family, the government. None of that. From a Buddhist perspective, every agitation, every problem, down to like even having this body, having experienced ordinary death, everything's coming from our mental state. There's nobody to blame. It's hard to totally accept or get that, but that's the radical view in Buddhism, it's all coming from our mind. Either the delusions or the karma that we created from the delusions. So may I and all beings be free of all that. Immeasurable joy, I shall make inseparable from happiness without suffering. So once the mind's lifted out of delusion, there's only joy, peace, happiness. We get that momentarily, but once the especially the view self, we've uncovered that, uprooted that, then the mind naturally has a joy all the time, peace. And it just oozes out to all beings. Just like if we've been in the presence of lamas or gurus, there's just this joy, peace, there's no problem happening. Doesn't matter what appears out there, there's no problem. So we maybe all experience that. It's a natural energy, a natural source of the mind is joy. Immeasurable equanimity, and I shall set in equanimity the cause of well-being, free from attachment, aversion, and partiality. So once we take the Bodhisattva vow, we do take this commitment in the presence of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to develop these 4 qualities. As a basis of bodhicitta. As a basis of trying to see every being, we're all in the same boat in samsara. So embracing all sentient beings equally with compassion, with loving kindness. So the more we recognize our own samsara, I think equanimity comes naturally. We see everybody's the same. So let's take a break till 3 o'clock. Got just under 10 minutes. And just trying to hold Tara in the space before us. We'll just take a 10-minute walking break. And we'll finish off the sadhana when we come back. Just holding Tara, maybe thinking about the 4 immeasurables a bit more as we take that short break. So our mind stays fresh for the next part of the meditation. So just walking around or whatever you need to do, and we'll come back at 3 o'clock. But keeping silence. Okay. We're on 3 o'clock, so... So yeah, part of the sadhana, we always have refuge. We usually have 4 immeasurables. Then the 7 lim. So again, just getting familiar with these different praxis. They're always part of all the pujas and the sadhanas. So 7 lim, purifying and accumulating merit. Those, we have to accumulate to achieve enlightenment and even get a good future rebirth. What's the first scope is getting a good future rebirth. Next one is achieving liberation for oneself. Uprooting the wrong sense of self. And the last one is achieving the Mahayana path, the bodhicitta, the mind that wants to achieve enlightenment for sentient beings, So to do that, we need a lot of merit, goodness, especially for the Mahayana path, for bodhicitta to become a bodhisattva. Even Tara, when she was one story of her, when she was an ordinary being, she spent day and night making offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, creating merit and inner goodness or richness and environment for realizations to flourish. So this is very important in the Mahayana tradition to develop, to accumulate merit. So we do that through the 7 limb. So again, feeling the presence of Mother Tara in the space before us, Arya Tara. Again, just like whatever beauty we can imagine, like the beautiful full moon, but adorned with that holy body made of green, radiant wind, pure wind energy. Just upon seeing her, we feel our mind, our heart, something in us opens up, wakens up, activates our the purest part of our being. And then on that appearance, we feel spontaneously, to make this 7 limb offering. And we'll just stop briefly each one. With body, speech, and mind, I devoutly prostrate. So prostrating, can imagine prostrating to the feet of Tara. I offer all offerings, both real and imagined. So here in the Gompa we have many water bowl offerings, light offerings, flowers. You can imagine offering lights, perfume, food, music, incense. Much as we can feel, imagine with our mind's eye. Again, just like when we see all the Christmas lights at the houses at Christmas, you can imagine that. Imagine foods we enjoy, pizza, chocolate. What's our favourite foods? When we think like that, something, then the visualization, it comes to the mind. So we imagine the whole sky filled with those offerings, prostrate and offer. And each time she gets filled with bliss. And the next one, all sins and offences amassed from beginningless time, I confess. What is it that's maybe most uncomfortable in our mind? Actions we've done this life. Or maybe we feel we've carried through for past life. Propensity for anger, propensity to harm people with our speech or with our mind. So imagine we open up and confess that to Tara, and through that power they get purified. The next one is rejoicing. And I rejoice in all virtuous actions of holy and ordinary beings. How wonderful it is. Lama Zopa Rinpoche would say, you start with that. How wonderful it is. It may be the actions, the qualities of what beings do we find it easy to rejoice in? I mean, certainly His Holiness Dalai Lama just won a Grammy. I mean, that's just a small part of what he's done, his influence in the world. Even a political and a spiritual leader to win a Grammy is kind of unheard of, I think. So that's amazing how much influence His Holiness has had in this world with the Nobel Peace Prize and all the he's had so many honorary degrees from different universities. And all the movies and the books that have been made about him. It's incredible. It's the power of bodhicitta. How wonderful it is, how amazing it is. Just rejoicing in that alone fills our mind, we can feel very happy in that quality and ability. In the last three, O Gurus and Buddhas, please remain until samsara ends and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. All my virtues and those of all others I dedicate to the great enlightenment. So through this 7 limb, may I and all beings, step by step, moving forward, always achieve enlightenment. In mandala offering. A mandala means to take one meaning is taking the essence. So when we offer a mandala or a depiction of the universe, but something very pure, a pure land where we would want to be reborn, where there's no war, famine, disease, everything's bountiful, bountiful foods, bountiful teachings, pure places, everything's really pure, there's no stain of dirt or poverty, sickness, disease, so we offer a really beautiful place for all beings to abide. It's like our future Buddha land. So if we know what the pure, the mandala looks like, it's actually the Mount Meru with the 4 continents. Otherwise, you just imagine some really pure, beautiful place filled with offerings. Like a place where you'd want all your friends, family, everyone to, in a sense, go to after this life, but there's no suffering there at all. So we offer that to Tara. Again, to create merit, to create the causes to be born in such a place. We do that while we offer the mandala offering. We chant the verse. We'll do in Tibetan and in English. Ozaji Joshemeto Tramri Rablingje Nyede Gyambadi Sangeji Hindumete Uvarye Drogen Namdag Jingla Jobarsho. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine it as a Buddha land and offer it. May all transmigratory beings enjoy this pure land. The objects of my attachment, aversion, and ignorance, friends, enemies, and strangers, and my body, wealth, and enjoyments. Without any sense of loss, I offer this collection. Please accept it with pleasure and bless me with freedom from the 3 poisons. So we also offer things that we're attached to. That's important. Things that are hard to let go of, because eventually, better to let go of them now than wait till we're passing. It's more difficult. So we try and do it now, Release our attached. Doesn't mean we need to go out and give all our possessions away, but just mentally trying to release the mind from attachment. This is one of the main things in the mandala offering is practicing releasing our attachments by offering to the heart of Tara, remembering emptiness. So what we're most attached to, let's just put that in our mandala offering. It's bound to be something. And we just start by mentally offering that to Tara. And it absorbs in her heart and she's happy. Yedam Guru Ratna Mandala Gamni Yadayami. Purification request. So here it's a bit like taking an initiation. We're going to receive the blessing and the purification in the qualities of Tara's body, speech, and mind. Please bless me to purify all obscurations, non-virtues of my body, so that it will become one in essence with Guru Lama Tara's holy body. White light emanates from the Om, so at Tara's forehead or crown there's an Om syllable. White, really beautiful, like a mountain, a snow mountain, that kind of white, really white, clean colour. From it radiates coming forward. It into our crown, is white light and nectar, purifying our crown, our whole brain, brow area, and showering down the body. And we've received the qualities, we get purified, our quality, negativities of the body, killing karma, stealing karma, sexual misconduct karma that we've created in this and future lives. That whole package. That's clean it, that's kind of obscuring the mind and the body. Get completely purified by this brilliant white light shower. So we get purified, then we receive in that light and nectar, Tara's like a seed imprinted in our more subtle body, around the area crown, brow, head. We receive Tara's holy body, the imprint, to be able to experience that. So purifying and then receiving like a seed implanted in the ground, implanted in our being, our subtle being there in that area, to be able to receive Tara's and experience Tara's holy body. Next request, please bless me to purify all obscurations of my speech so it'll become one in essence with Lama Tara's holy Vajra speech. Vajra means indestructible. There's no way to get touched by negativity. So from her, the A in her throat chakra, again, that red is like the red of a copper red, beautiful evening sky. So even that captivates our mind. You know, the colour of it as the light comes forth, just like the sky at night gets filled with that red light. Our throat chakra gets filled with red light. You can also, if you visualise nectar, and it just, as it touches our throat chakra, all the negativities of our speech get completely pacified. Lying, harsh speech, divisive speech. And the other one is sorry, idle gossip, you know, so speech that's not really benefiting, it just becomes about me, myself, and I, you know, it's not really helping others. So that gets completely purified. Those chakras gets filled with that light and nectar. Then through our whole body, and we receive Tara's very beautiful, sort of virtuous, powerful speech. Again, like a seed getting implanted in the throat chakra there to receive her, experience her speech. Then the next one, please bless me to purify all obscurations of my mind so it'll become one in essence with Lama Tara's holy Vajra mind. Blue light emanating from the home syllable, H-U-M, or the syllable home, coming and filling up our mind and our heart essence. In our heart chakra, it fills up the heart chakra with a really deep blue light, like a deep blue sky colour. Light and nectar pervading, it's like pervades our whole consciousness, fills up our whole mind, mental consciousness with blue light. It's very pristine blue, that's so cleans away the ignorance, grasping at true existence. anger, attachment. Just cleans that off the mind. And our whole consciousness gets filled with the blue, clear light, kind of pristine blue light and nectar. One with Tara's holy mind, and we receive the seed from her to experience her holy mind. So we try and feel I've received the body, speech, and mind quality of Tara. Then the last request, please bless me to purify all delusions and subtle obscurations to omniscience, so that my body, speech, and mind become one with Lama Tara's holy body, speech, and mind. So we have gross delusion, gross delusions, and then there's a subtle imprint that they leave, like garlic leaves a smell in the jar, you know, when you pull it out. So we pull out the delusions, but there's still an imprint there, like the smell of garlic. So that also needs to be removed, I'm afraid. It's not all done yet. So then here, when we receive the white, red, and blue nectar, we think all my subtle obscurations, even that smell, you know, that scent for the garlic, that also gets purified by the white, red, and blue nectar and light. And we visualize the three colours filling our whole body and receiving Tara's body, speech, and mind. So our body, this is like giving yourself a little bit of an initiation. When you get this initiation, this is what you go through with the Lama. You visualize the Lama in the space before you is Tara, and they give you the blessing of the body, speech, and mind. So we're just doing this in the practice. So it's like almost like we're initiating ourselves, doing the same thing. And then we request the Lama to stay. So like that, in our heart, we make the request here. Please, Guru Arya Tara, remain upon a lotus at my heart, and looking after me with your great kindness, grant me the realizations of your body, speech, and mind. So she's very pleased with our practice. 7-limb mandala. We need to feel that the Tara's pleased. And she accepts our request, starts to dissolve from top to bottom like mist in a mirror. Comes the crown her head. And very happily, that radiant green light dissolves through her crown. Again, as it touches her crown, we receive the blessing of Tara's body, the one that's beyond birth and death, the one that's born of just wisdom. Moves down through our throat chakra, receiving the blessing about Tara's speech. Goes down to the mind chakra in the heart. And then in that space, our whole body starts to dissolve into light. The gross appearance of our body dissolves into light. And we just dissolve slowly, becoming one with Tara and the experience of light and space. This is me, one with Tara's body, speech, and mind. Just be with that for a moment. when we're one with Tara, there is no truly existent I. That I that pops up, especially when somebody criticizes us. When we're upset by something, how does that I appear? So that one that appears is the wrong, it's distorted, it's not the right view self. So we try and see if we can see it in that space of being one with Tara, how it jumps up from the mind. And we try to absorb it back into being one with Tara, omniscient, blissful, omniscient awareness. In the space of being one with Tara, there is no I like that appearing to the mind. In the space of being one with Tara, it's just like we're in a deep spaciousness, but it's filled with wisdom. And it's from that wisdom, that emptiness, that we arise again. If you have the initiation, we arise out of that wisdom. My wisdom that realizes emptiness, from there, I arise as Tara. The body of Tara, that's just every pore is made of wisdom. Every pore is compassion. So if we don't have the initiation, we can come back to our ordinary self, feeling we're still one with Tara, but Tara arises on our crown or in the space before us again. But if we have the initiation, then we arise as Tara, seated on a fragrant open lotus in moon cushion, our right leg extended, with a green emerald vibrant colour, showing the swiftness of our activity, our action to benefit others. My clothes, what I'm adorned in, silks and robes and ornaments, are all the accomplishment and my perfection of wisdom, patience, concentration, morality. And my body's youthful, it's not beyond birth and death. Always experiencing bliss and peace and radiating out in all the directions to all sentient beings all the time. At my crown is an Om, white Om. Throat is a red A. Heart is a blue Home. And my seed syllable Tam is also seated on my crown, my heart. And it radiates out. And as I recite the mantra, it radiates out and blesses it to all sentient beings, purifying all beings and bringing them to the state of Tara. Friends, family, people I don't like, all beings it touches. There's no discrimination between friend, family, stranger, or people we don't know. It just radiates spontaneously to all beings. That's the power of bodhicitta. And if we're not visualize this Tara, we can imagine Tara on our crown, and that Tam is radiating out just constantly. Bit like a lighthouse light, I guess. It's always on. I don't know, some lights are always on, so it's just like that. It's always on. A radiant mind's just always emanating light and quality and ability to all sentient being, and the energy of the mantra, and also radiating out offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, flowers, incense, food offerings, and we receive as they receive the offerings, then we get blessed by shower. So when we recite the mantra, we're going to do about a good 5 minutes of mantra recitation of the Tara mantra, some together, then we'll do some silently. You hold that visualization. So when we do mantra retreats, that's what we have to do, a lot of mantra recitation. That's what brings about the closeness of the deity. That's what brings you closer to the experience, is this mantra accumulation. So we imagine the light going out sometimes, and other times we imagine from all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who have become Tara, light coming in and pouring into us and increasing our experience of being one with Tara. So you can alternate between those visualizations. Om Dari Du Dari Du Re Soha. 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 Om Dari Du Dari Du Re So. Om Dari Du Dari 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 Du Re Soha. 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 And so take a moment just to be with the energy of the mantra in your body and your mind. And again, just affirming, we're bringing the result into the path in Tantra. So again, affirming that this is me, whatever experience of peace, calm, clarity, wisdom, that experience we unify with Tara. And we bring about, it's like a divine pride, recognition that this is me, on with Tara's holy body, speech and mind. This is who I am, deeply, innately. And in that experience, however the I appears to you right now, that I won't be there. There'll be not a trace of an I, an independent I, a concrete I, a concrete self. In the experience of being one with Tara, there is no I. There is no object. There is no action created. Everything arises from the pure sphere of emptiness, the nature of my own mind. It's a very deep and ancient part of yourself that we're trying to reconnect with, realign with. Wake up, not just when it comes to the death time, but wake it up in our experience now, our clear light nature. So for high lamas, master practitioners, when they pass away, it's like going back home. It's very easy for them just to slip into more subtle states of consciousness. Very familiar to them. It's not scary. It's not unknown. They just go back there, they just go back there and meditate and use that to realize emptiness, that experience. So when Tantra, we're trying to do that now, bring that experience into our waking life, that pristine nature of consciousness. So in that way, we can recognize our nature now, in the present moment. And just to finish, another powerful way when we have obstacles, in our life, fears, obstacles, challenges, another very powerful practice is chanting the 21 taras. So we don't just have one, the green tara, then we have different aspects: white color for pacification, red color for increasing, power or control, yellow color tara for increasing, and dark blue for wrath, more wrathful activity. So all these taras, we chant a verse to each tara, and we can imagine that they each absorb into us the different colors, the tara, and we receive the blessing each of those taras to remove our different layers and levels of outer and inner fears and obstacles. So we'll just do one recitation together to finish the meditation. Om I prostrate to the noble transcendent liberator, homage Tara swift heroic, eyes like lightning instantaneous, sprung from opening stamens of the Lord of three worlds, tear-born lotus. Homage she whose face combines 100 autumn moons at fullest, blazing with light raiseless splendid, as 1,000-star collection. Homage golden blue one lotus, water-born in hand adorned, giving ever calm austerities, patience, meditation, her sphere. Homage crown of Tathagatas, actions triumph without limit, relied on by conquerors' children, having reached every perfection. Homage filling with tutari, whom desire, direction, and space, trampling with their feet the seven worlds, able to draw forth all beings. Homage worship by the all Lord, Shakra, Agni, Brahma, Maru, honor by the hosts of spirits, corpses, Gandharvas, Yakshas, homage with their triumphs, destroying foes' magic diagrams, her feet pressing left out right, and blazing in a raging fire blaze. Homage to the very dreadful destroyer of Mara's champion, she with frowning lotus visage, who is slayer of all enemies. Homage at the heart, her fingers adorn her with three jewel mudra, like tree masses all excited, all directions wheels adorn her. Homage she so joyous, radiant, crown emitting garlands of light, mirthful laughing with tutari, subjugating Mara's devas. Homage she mid-breathe ablaze like eon ending fire abiding, right, left, bend joy surround you, troops of enemies destroying. Homage she who strikes the ground with her palm and with her foot beats it, scaling with the letter home, the seven levels she does conquer. Homage happy, virtuous, peaceful, she is filled as peace nirvana, she endowed with Om and Soha, destroyer of the great evil. Homage she rejoice surrounded, tearing foes' bodies asunder, frees with Om and knowledge mantra, arrangement of the 10 letters. Homage to the received letter, of the shape of syllable, and by foot stamping shakes of three worlds, Meru, Mandar, and Vinja. Homage holding in her hand the Hirma moon of Deva lake form, with twice spoken Tara Ambi, totally dispelling poison. Homage she whom gods and their kings and the Kinnaras do honor, armored in all joyful splendor, She dispels bad dreams and conflicts. Homage whose two eyes bright with radiance of sun and full moon, with twice Hara and Tutari. She dispels severe contagion. Homage full of liberating. Power by the set of three natures. Destroys souls of spirit yakshas. Andre's corpses supreme ture. These praises with the rude mantras and prostrations us are 21. Okay, so we're going to have a break for 15 minutes and then we'll do our last hour with some Q&A, question answer, and we'll do a short, as I said, that meditation on death process. We'll do that after. So let's come back at 15 minutes, okay? Come back at 5 past. That gives just over 15 minutes if you want to have a snack or something. So we'll come at 3:05. And please come if you've got some questions. I know we've got at least one here, so okay. See you soon. Thank you. So welcome back. I might be a minute early actually. Oh, there we go, 4:05, so we can start now. So yeah, does anyone have any questions, comments about the meditation or anything in the classes that we want to bring up? Give you a minute. Joanne does. We'll start with Joanne. She has some good questions. Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's for White Tara. So Joanne's just asking me about one mantra, Om Tari Tutari Turi Mama Aya Punya Yana Pushtam Kuri Yusoha. That's the White Tara mantra. Yeah, so it's a little bit longer, that one. But also for White Tara, if you are doing White Tara practice, usually you do some of that one, and then you would just do, Om Tari Tutari Turi, because that's quite a long one. But you would do some of that one, and sometimes you also include it. You can include the name of the Lama if you're reciting for a Lama. I don't know if you can include your name or not. I've seen it included for Lamas, when you do the White Tara for Lama, you would include their name as well. That can be quite powerful. But usually you just do some of those and then maybe just go on to the Tara mantra. And then, sorry, your other question was about mandalas or. Mm. Oh, yeah. So there's different there's different ways when we mean mandala. I mean, there's a mandala offering, when we do saji like this, and I just gave you a very simple, it takes a little bit to explain the mandala offering when you do this one, Saji Poki. You're actually supposed to visualize Mount Meru. This is different from this in the four continents. So we exist, and this would be more of a commentary on like how you do those mandala offerings. So I'm just suggesting while you don't know the full mandala offering, usually you try and at least offer things you're attached to. The whole point of mandalas. I think I shared this story. Maybe not. I don't think did I share this story before? What happened to me with my mandala set? Anna Marie's heard it, yeah. You're nodding. Um, but so you have sometimes you'll see people with sets, and they're going like this, and they're putting all the things. So it's a whole what we call. So the next after this, there's I mentioned we're going to do something called preliminary praxis. So mandala offering is actually a preliminary practice to create merit, because we need. I mentioned in the meditation to really for our mind to move. Can't underestimate, even Rimshi was talking about this, the teacher, we need to create merit and purify because we can see, oh, this would be great to be kind, to have equanimity, and but the mind's not going there, It's like, of course I want immeasurable joy, immeasurable compassion. I mean, who doesn't, Well, maybe some people don't, but all of us can see the benefit of that. But no matter how we want it, wish for that, it's not enough. We have to create the causes for the mind to move into immeasurable joy, immeasurable compassion. So when you meditate on it, you get more of a feeling, like that's happening. And that's what you do with the purification, purifying and creating merit. So we have to create the causes for our mind to realize emptiness. It doesn't, our mind's a causative phenomena. So whatever we put in there, that's what we get. Basically, you put something in the pot and that's what you get. So we need to put a lot of positivity into the mind for it to move into the kind of these realizations, these experiences. And that comes through, that's why I spent time going through the Tara practice. You can do it in a rushed way, but we still need to offer mandalas. We need to do 7 lim and take a little bit of time to meditate on that, because it creates the foundation and the environment for us to have the experience of Tara when we get to the mantras and the this and the that, and then we get to the meditation on emptiness. So the mind can get more experience of that. We need the other stuff, we need the merit, the purification. So they're always there in the practices. And there's more extensive ways we can create merit and purify. And that is through the preliminary practices that I will go through when we go through prostrations and Vajrasattva. Just really getting clear, the whole package we need. Does seem a lot in the beginning. I always say this when we study Tibetan Buddhism, it is a lot, but once you get a handle on it, it's not so much. It's like learning how to drive. We just need to get a handle on the things that we need, and then start doing it, and it gets easier. It just gets easier by practice, So yes, so mandala, there's different, when we say mandala, it can be it's not really confusing, but there is this type of mandala where we're doing a visualization and kind of offering, in some way, some part of ourselves, so that we can, first of all, we need to practice a lot of generosity, giving of ourselves. And of course, this, offering service to the guru, to the centers, to the, to the teachings, offering money, offering our whatever we can, not like giving everything away and we're empty, but this practice of generosity, because that is our wealth. The real wealth is a practice of generosity, So mandala offering, in a sense, is a practice of generosity, giving our depiction of the universe, all the contents that we enjoy what do we enjoy in our world right now? Beautiful places and parks and foods and our house and our friends and so you can kind of at least just start by mentally offering that to Tara. At some point, partially it will be able to offer even happily, but we sort of mandala offerings about mentally offering to begin with, to create this momentum of more and more the practice of generosity. And also the way we visualize the mandala, which again, the nuts and bolts I'm not going to go into here because it is more extensive, but just think, when we're offering mandala, I'm going to give a part of myself here, something in myself that I'm attached to, but I'm just doing it mentally at this level, and then eventually, and again, the key thing that always says, without any sense of loss. It's very important to give things happily and not like, well, I'm going to overgive, and then later I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have given that, and you kind of regret it because you gave too much. But this practice in mentally offering helps us eventually to be able to offer more and more happily, because we've just got the habit, So that's mandala a little bit there. Again, it's just very much nutshell what I said there, because that would be a long conversation. So Joanne's asking me about this mandala in terms of Guru Yoga, what this one does. This is a mandala of, I think it's Chenrezig. Yeah. No, I'm not sure actually. Oh yeah, Chitimani Tara Tam, yeah, green syllable. This is the mandala Tara, but I mentioned in the class there's 4 purities. Remember? Do we remember? Do you remember what the 4 purities are? Bay's shaking. Bay seems to know. Bay, what are the 4 purities in the terms of Tantra? Because again, we're trying to visualize a resultant state, Tara, being Tara right now. So what are the 4 purities that Tara or the deities abide in have? Bay?
purity of the body,
Yes.
purity
So
of
what does that mean? Visual, not having this gross body, but imagining that we have the body of Tara that's made of wisdom. Basically, it's made of wisdom and compassion. Yeah. Yes.
and the environment, the mandala,
Yeah.
and now I forgot the third one. The last one
These
is
are a bit more tricky.
activity,
Yeah.
pure activity, and
Pure activities. So basically, everything you're doing is, you could say, our levels with bodhicitta and a wisdom realizing emptiness. And there's actually 4 enlightened activities of the, when beings are at an enlightened, a high level, when you've got realizations, there's only four activities that the Buddhas do: peace, increase, power, and wrath. That's a little bit more esoteric, but everything comes from that place, activities for sentient beings. And then the pure enjoyments, that was the other one. So even, as I say, so this basically, to answer your question, John, this is really the mandala. This is the pure place of Tara. That's what that's signifying. And when we get deeper into these practices, especially more Kriya Tantra and High Yoga Tantra, once we have the certain specific initiations, we're supposed to visualize ourselves always in the pure place of Tara, always with the pure body of Tara. Always our activities are coming from the enlightened energy and wisdom of Tara. And always our enjoyments are like Tara's enjoyments, our food and everything we enjoy has this nature of Tara, emptiness. What it's trying to do is it's a skillful way to kind of purify, as again, our ordinary appearance, ourself, and our ordinary concepts. Purifying this feeling, pushing it, nudging against what we always feel as everything concrete, solid, inherent, So we're trying to like nudge against that with these 4, practicing these 4 purities. That's what Tantra is doing. It's trying to awaken up that innate purity that we all have. But it's just hidden and sleeping because we're so familiar with concrete, solid, me, myself, and I, and my environment. I mean, some of us do feel like there's a flow in our life. We do feel a flow, and we do sometimes feel like things are less solid and concrete, but we don't, it's not like the total experience of the wisdom realizing emptiness. It's not the total experience of how things really exist. So again, these 4 purities, that's why we need the 3 principles of the path, because we need to understand what is emptiness. Otherwise, this is light, that's not enough. It's not just, oh, I've got a light body and there's a light environment. No, it needs to come with understanding, or some understanding of what is empty. Because emptiness is not nothingness, it's a fullness of our wisdom. It's a direct understanding of how we and others and phenomena exist. Because right now, well, some of you might be there, but I'm not there. Right now we have a distorted view. That is the whole point of the Dharma, Buddhism, which differentiates Buddhism from other religions and traditions, is our view of reality, understanding the nature of reality. How things, I mean, we want to know how we and others exist, because we do exist, but the whole problem of birth, old age, sickness, and death, that comes because we haven't understood our absolute nature, our totality, our nature. So we're stuck in me, myself, and I. We're stuck in concrete concepts. Again, not to beat ourselves up. It's just to be very clear that we have a distorted view of reality. First of all, we have to be get clear that our view of reality is distorted. That's really what the Dharma is about in the beginning. Because then you go, oh, right. Well, of course I want to know how things exist, how I exist. Oh, so you're saying I don't exist the way I think I exist? So how do I exist? This is almost like what renunciation is. Lama Tsongkhapa was like determined. When you read his life story, he was so passionate. He wanted to realize the view emptiness and dependent arising, And so that's kind of what renunciation is, a passion, a determination, realizing very clear that we are mistaken in how we exist. Everything comes from this mistake. all our problems, all our suffering, all our rebirths, all our ups and downs, all our difficult people, they actually don't come from out there. They come from our distorted view of reality. There's nobody to blame out there. That's a hard one. Yes. Yeah. One more question, then I've got a couple online. We'll do Joanne because she'll just finish, and then we'll do your questions. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So Joanne's just asking, well, how you cut rebirth? Well, in a nutshell, realizing emptiness. That's it. Yeah. There's no other way to cut it. So how we cut, it's like that Groundhog Day experience. You just wake up and we might be in another rebirth, but we're actually just, and I think in Groundhog Day he's doing the same thing. But, the Buddhas look at us and just say, we're just doing the same thing over and over again, in different forms and everything. But so to answer Joanne's question, yeah, how we cut rebirth is through the we have to generate the wisdom to realizing emptiness. We have a direct perception of how we exist. And that is, it's a unification of emptiness, independent arising. So that's what needs to be, I think the real renunciation is when you want to get out of that confusion. That is renunciation day and night, as Lama Tsongkhapa said, seeking liberation, seeking the truth of how we are, really being sort of passionate and determined in that. And that becomes deeper the more we recognize our falsehood that we're creating. And actually, Tantra, certainly I feel like when I practice Tantra, because it wakens up the more subtle minds that are more powerful than our gross conceptual minds, you get little insights into, I'm not quite seeing things right. We need to really get that kind of experience. Not just, of course, we go to teachings and this is this and suffering and the Four Noble Truths and the two. That's what we need that. We need a direction. But the best is obviously if you get an experience of that, like, oh, wait, my mind just did something else there. And when you do the Tantra and Sutra together, I think it's bringing you into the right direction of where your mind's supposed to be, what the when it's healing, starting to heal from the long-term, problem, pandemic. Because actually the only pandemic there is, the only plague there is me, myself, and I. There isn't really another plague or pandemic. Of course, there is on a conventional level, but I think, these great masters, it's like once we get a real deep experience of like, I am confused. First of all, you have to say, I am confused about how I exist. And then you move into, so how do I exist? I think you have to recognize the confusion first through the teachings and through your practice. And then when you see my mind's mistaken, it's like somebody points something out to you. You always thought, to do this way, it was some kind of way like that. And then somebody, no, if you do it this way, it's much better. You go, oh, right. It's like a bit of a ha-ha moment, So I think when we practice Tantra and do these retreats, we get little bits of aha moments where we recognize that we are confused. But the only way you can really get it is through doing practice, So first of all, we have to recognize our confusion. And Tantra brings out the wisdom quality of our mind. It wakes up these subtle minds that are more powerful. They are in the nature of wisdom. And that helps to reflect where your confusion is. And so do the preliminary praxis, very much so, that we'll talk about in the next module, how they purify the mind, create an environment for our wisdom to open up more so we can see our confusion. And it's a relief, it's like, oh, wow, wait a minute, I'm not, my eye is confused, is distorted, so we need to do these praxis to create the environment to see the confusion. To see, or just even at the beginning, to see anger is actually a painful state of mind. The more we feel it's painful, the more we want to just throw it away. We just don't want to go there. We don't empower it. So That's the beauty and benefit of these tantric practices, especially when we're doing lower tantra, starting there, and then also the purification practices, allowing to see ourselves more, to see what the teachings are really saying, and to start to be our experience more and more. Okay, sorry, Stan.
Yes, thank you. Back to, if I may, the 9-round breathing exercise, where I've heard this from you many times, and I've been practicing it really consistently. I really appreciate it. But I want to make sure that I have it correct. I thought I heard you today say that the blue channel was on one of the sides and not in the middle, and I always took it that it was white on the left, red on the right, and blue in the middle.
You're right. I think I said white instead of blue, isn't it?
Okay, so it was just a
Yeah.
misspoke. Yeah,
That's right. I did
that's
say
all I
the
wanted to
color.
clarify.
So also just to clarify, it does depend on the tantra. You know, when you do, I think when you move into high yoga tantra, sometimes the channel in the middle is a different color. But that's really when you start practicing your main deity, you know, it's really, but generally speaking, that's the colors that the channels are, blue, white. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry about that.
That's fine. Thank you very much. I just don't want to be confused.
But you
Thank
will
you.
see that when you practice different tantras, they start juggling around colours and deities, and you're like, well, wait a minute, but I was always told, and it's not that one's right or wrong.
Of course.
It's just that when you kind of get more specialised in maybe your main deity practice, you might find that there's different colours, but that's okay, you know. But for all of us, those are the colours we use.
Thank you.
Ladan?
Yes, thank you. I have a question about the emptiness of self. Today, when you guide us through the meditation of Tara, there was a moment that you said, like, out of emptiness and and I was thinking, like I had a touch of, I think, emptiness of inherent self.
Wow, wow,
And
wow, wow,
all
wow.
of a sudden, I don't know,
Yeah.
I had like a glance of it or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
I think, in all modesty, but and all of a sudden I say to myself, no, there is something. I came back to one like passionate state of mind, and it was like I was about to have something, like let go of something, and I became passionate about myself, I think. And I said, no, this is me that doing this. And all of a sudden it was all distorted. But I know I heard about that there is one self that exists, like not inherently, but because of the cause and conditions. And this, I I just wanted to ask you, which one is that one that we can like not grasp, but for example, when I
How do we
do my
exist? You mean how
practice,
do we exist?
there is one that do things like creating merit, creating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is the one that was born and is getting old and will die. And the but between these two, the one that we grasp like egoistic one, my question was, the egoistic one sometimes helped me to do my practice better.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I think partly there's a merit behind that. It's true. We still have an ego that does I mean, we still have an ego and a sense of self that's doing the practice and doing the merit, and that's great, you know. But that's also it's coming from your merits that does that, you know. So it's coming from your good karma. So we do need to have a very healthy sense of self before we realize emptiness, you know. And we need a lot of merit to realize emptiness, you know. So it's, you know, even Lama Tsongkhapa, I guess, I don't know, the Buddha, or they all had a sense of self before they had achieved. I mean, they still had part of them was still of an ego, you know, before they realized emptiness. But that's a good part of yourself, you know. We're not existing in emptiness yet. We haven't realized our absolute nature yet. So I think what we should rejoice in our conventional self. Conventionally, Ladan, Angie, you know, that's the one that's taking us to enlightenment. That's a good one, you know. So we have that right now for sure, you know, and we need to actually find a lot of joy in that one. You know, we have to have a very happy mind, a happy eye, you know, a joyful eye. I mean, I think, you know, a happy eye, joy, because actually, what does renunciation mean? The other term, it means contentment. You have to have a lot of contentment, a lot of joy, a lot of aspiration for spiritual practice and energy. And that's a good eye. We need that good eye. We need that conventional eye for quite some time until
Yeah.
we're ready to even break out of that eye, you know?
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
need the me, my eye for a while, you know. It's not that we need it, but that's the one. But what we're doing is just chipping away at the rough edges of the me, my, and I. You know, we need
Yeah.
a healthy, positive eye that wants to get enlightened, wants to get inspired. But, you know, as we're moving in the direction of the Dharma, we're chipping away at the rough edges of that eye. You know, it's still a projected eye. It's a wrong view of self, but it needs to be quite a positive, happy, ethical, subdued eye before we can actually realize emptiness. You know, so we do need that eye, because actually, if you know, if we try to, I think there's a chance, you know, if we don't have a good sense, a really positive sense of self, and a sort of still a subdued sense of self with very little attachment, very little anger, you know, we need to get to all those places with the eye. And then, I mean, even at the level of sutra, you know, the level of sutra, we have to be subdued by our practice of morality, keeping vows, the container of the vows. Then we need to develop single pointed concentration, you know, shamatha. And then on the basis of shamatha, you chip away and you get a really clear view in that mind, a very calm and peace. You can see how the eye is appearing to the mind. You know, so even at the level of calm abiding, when you can meditate for 4 hours on an object without moving, you still have an eye.
Yeah.
You know, an eye got you to that place. So the eye needs to take us quite well along before we can actually then discover that there's a particular way the eye is appearing to our mind that's distorted. So a healthy sense of eye for a long time we need to create merit, And along the side of that, we keep reminding ourselves, you know, we keep nudging away that the individual solid sense of eye that's appearing to the mind, that one's mistaken, you know. And the more that's why we have the gradual path to enlightenment. We don't start with emptiness. We need to build up our merits, our joyfulness, our contentment. We need to chip away at the anger and attachment. We need to develop some concentration, and then we're more in a place. And we need a healthy conventional eye to do that. And then when we get to the higher scope, we're in a place to then start looking at, and the eye will be not as unsubdued, you know, it'll be much more subdued. And then we can start to see, well, then how is the eye appearing? You know, it's the wrong sense of self.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a
Can we
gradual
say
step up. So it's
that
okay, our
it's,
eye, our ego that's getting enlightened, you know, is purifying, collecting merit and all. That's great, you know, that one.
yeah,
But there's another aspect where there's anger, attachment, feet, you know, that one we need to kind of keep chipping away at. Does that help?
Can we say that, can we say that it's like, how do you say that? Behind us wanting, realizing emptiness, that emptiness arrive like something that we have cultivated from long time before, and with the eye, with or deluded mind, but merit, and it comes without us like wanting it, like a karma
I
that
think, well, I think
happened
when
to
you create
us.
all the causes and conditions, again, to realize emptiness, we need to create a lot of causes and conditions. And when they're all complete, then the mind, if we create the right causes and conditions, we will have, eventually we will have a direct perception of emptiness because we've created it'll just happen. Maybe not just happen, we still have to put effort, but it'll be a different type of effort at that time because the mind will be ripened to have those realizations. So it's just creating the merit. It's creating the two merits of wisdom and method. We need to keep working on them, and then the mind becomes ripe almost for realization. It's just like a flower, it's ripe for bloom because we've put all the different causes and conditions. That's what we stress. That's what's stressed a lot in this in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. It's about creating the causes and conditions. And not right away grasping at the fruits, and trying to get that. It's like just being content to create the causes and conditions and having the backdrop of this is where we want to go, this is the result, and I'm creating all the causes and conditions for that. And the mind, I think, will eventually move into that realization because you've created the causes for it. It'll just bloom into that, That's my understanding.
Yeah.
So it's just being patient,
Yeah.
Patient and keep moving along, chipping away, meditating in emptiness where we can, and slowly we get you move into these different levels of less and less conceptual understandings of emptiness till it becomes non-conceptual. And of course the sutra and tantra path, how you realize emptiness, is a little bit different as well, so that we're not going to go into that, but it's slightly different. But basically, yeah, I have no doubt, if we create the right, and this is why you need qualified teachers and lamas. They give you praxis to do, so your mind's just ripening slowly into these qualities and realizations. Okay, Bae, and then
I understand.
one
Thank
more
you so
question.
much.
Hi, Venba. I have a question for when someone practices without initiation. And I think you mentioned to basically visualize a deity in front, right? What about like the details of the deities or like the environment, things like that?
Yeah, if you don't have initiation, I think as my understanding, you would just you can visualize as much as the details in front if you want of the deity. But generally, the pure place, the pure action, pure activity, that comes out of your experiences yourself as a deity. So you're not really, generally, you're not really going to practice purity of the four purities without initiation. But at the same time, when we do the preliminary prayers, and we do pujas, we do preliminary prayers in the morning, actually you visualize. Well, you can still imagine without initiation that, your whole environment's made of light and it's coming out of emptiness, but you wouldn't visualize that particular mandala of a deity. You would just have it more general. Similarly, when we bless the food, we say Om Ahom 3 times. We think the body, speech, and mind, the Buddha. When we say Om Ahom, we visualize that above the food, and we transform it into nectar. You can just, you can still think it's emptiness, it's joy, it's peace, but these all do become more powerful and more meaningful, I think, once you have initiation. So you can generally do these visualizations without, because they are already in the preliminary prayers. But once you have, especially when you move into high yoga tantra, there's certain mandala, or even the Chenrezig practice, there's a 2-day initiation you can get for that, and you can start to visualize the environment of Chenrezig and the holy body, and the enjoyments of Chenrezig. When you do the Nung Ne, for example, there's a lot of more extensive visualizations in that. But I think before that, you can still generally think I'm in a pure place and pure, just in a more general way you can do, as I understand it, because we have that in our prayers in the prayer book, and that doesn't require initiation. Does that help, Faye?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your good questions. So what we wanted to do for the last 20 minutes is do the death meditation. So at the death time, So generally this death meditation comes up. Um, it's done again more on the level of high yoga tantra. So, well, sometimes you might read books His Holiness, and His Holiness says, well, I do death meditation. I die, I do it 6, 7 times a day. What does he mean by that? What he means is he's doing this meditation on really imagining that you're passing away. So in the high yoga tantra, because Joanne asked this question because she's seen it in Lama Yeshu's introduction to tantra. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more in the last class, the bodies of the Buddha. When you do high yoga tantra practice, and I can say this more in a general way, the goal is to achieve what we call the bodies of the Buddha. Like Tara has a pure body and it's made of wisdom and compassion. So the goal, and especially at the level of high yoga tantra, is to achieve these bodies because you can benefit others. First of all, you get out of old age, sickness, and death yourself, and you can actually arise as these pure bodies, and they have many ways to benefit many, many beings. So Joanne asked the question about the bardo, what happens at the bar. So when we pass away, what we're going to do in this meditation is you're going to go through what happens with the gross consciousness, because I mentioned these 3 types of consciousnesses we have. We have gross, which is our everyday me, myself, and I, thoughts, senses, and all that. We have this subtle consciousness, which goes through. So when we die, the gross consciousness is absorbed, then the subtle consciousness is absorbed, and then this most subtle, then they all absorb into the most subtle consciousness, and that's the one, clear light or clear light nature. That's the one that goes for life to life. And that's the one that's nature is completely pure. There's no stain at all of at that time when we pass, because all the gross and the subtle conceptions dissolve. We go temporarily when we pass. That's why when you're often around people when they're very peaceful, because they're in that state where there's no all the attachment, anger, the strong sense of self is temporarily absorbed into the subtle consciousness. So it's not arising at all. It's temporarily absorbed into that clear light nature. And that clear light nature is a deep peace. Ed, who just joined for this afternoon, he just popped in. He was saying that he came to Land of Medicine Buddha a few weeks ago, and there was Chado Rinpoche was here. And he comes a lot, and he said, but when the Lama was here, it was so peaceful, like 10 times more peaceful. And I'm like, yeah, because that level of being is, we could say, I can't say for sure, but they're in a very subtle, they've accessed in their meditation that level of subtle consciousness or something very close. I can't say for sure, but you can tell they're extremely, elevated beings. So they're in that, one of a really, really more subtle state. And in that state, it's very easy to realize emptiness. It's very easy to realize the nature of mind. We can't realize, it's hard for us to realize emptiness because we're so stuck in the conceptual habits and minds. Yeah, it's very hard because we're stuck in them. So again, in Tantra, we're trying to get into the subtle minds because their nature is pure. Their nature is emptiness. It's very easy to realize your nature when you're in there, So we're trying to wake them up in Tantra. And then it's easier to meditate. They're easier to realize emptiness because they're not entangled with the concept, attachment, anger, and strong conceptual minds. Their nature is peace, bliss, happiness. Like Ed was saying, you come in around a Lama like that, you just feel that presence, because they're abiding in there. They've managed to access those minds, and not just access, but kind of realize and be in that peaceful wisdom nature. So what we're doing now is so when we go into high yoga tantra practice, and even Kriya Tantra, we're trying to, when we absorb the deity, we go through the death process, and we try and just sit for a moment in that really subtle mind that we go to at the time of death. And we think this is me, and this is what's its nature. Its nature is emptiness. You know, because ideally, if we do that now, when we pass away, we'll be familiar. It'll be like, oh, I've done that a lot in my meditation, and even if we can't do it well, we'll know what's going to happen to our mind when we pass away. We're going to know what the death process, what some of the visions that appear to our mind, and what that experience is, and maybe we can stay in it longer because we've become familiar. So that's more at the level of high yoga tantra. And then, of course, when you come out of that, most of us will go into the bardo state. And I'm not going to go further in that meditation because we're going to run out of time. But we're just going to go into 15 minutes or so of just doing this death meditation. What happens? What might we experience according to the great yogis and lamas who have passed away with incredible clarity? They're like clear what's going on. Because even when they go to sleep at night, they're already, you know, we just kind of zonk out, most of us. But they know what's going on with even at sleep time, you know. They're in that level of, that's all a meditation for them. So for us, so it's really, some of us, how many of us have done the death meditation before? Urs, Bay, Rick, yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it? Like these visions that come up. Urs is laughing. But it's quite fascinating to know whether we'll be able to spot them or not. I don't know, but it's very fascinating to know this is like what goes on, you know, because we think in the West, we think once you stop breathing, that's it. No, there's a whole other evolution, like dissolution that's going on for us with our consciousness. We're not dead at all, you know, there's still a whole process that we need to go through until the consciousness leaves the body. So this is, unfortunately, the lamas, the great lamas, have all given permission for us to be able to practice that even without initiation, just to be aware of it, even if we can't practice it. Because, yeah, it's from that state, you see, when we go into the clear light at the level of high yoga tantra, when you come out of that, you're trying to achieve what we call these bodies of the Buddha, which I'll talk about in the class next week. When we come out of clear light, how do you, instead of going into the bardo, you try and arise as a kind of Buddha body, you know, instead of a bardo being. So it takes a very high level of meditation to do that. But even for us, thinking about it, generating some faith in that, realizing that our consciousness goes on, and you know, the experience you get at death time is very, very peaceful, you know. And if we could even do a little bit meditation on that when we pass, you know, that'll be wonderful, you know, creating strong imprints in our mind for future lives. So let's just do about 15 minutes. What we have to do before we go in is just kind of, we have to get a feeling that we're passing away. We have to get into that space. So taking a couple of minutes just to settle your mind first. And if you need to do the 9-round breathing, just to bring a bit more clarity to the mind, please do that. I'll give you a minute just to do that if you need to, or just sitting with the breath for a minute. So before we do this, we need to, as I said, get a feeling like, so if we were going to die, you know, we're trying to get this feeling like we're going to pass away very soon, you know. So where would that be? Where would we imagine our ideal place to be passing? You know, the doctors have said that, you know, we only have so long to live. You know, we've heard that. And we're in our deathbed, and maybe there's friends and family around, you know, but just people we feel comfortable with who have also accepted that we're going to pass, you know. So you, yourself, anybody who's around, and the place you're in, everyone needs to be kind of comfortable. That's how we would imagine our death, you know, in a very peaceful place, somewhere we feel comfortable with but not attached to. Main thing at death time is we have to release our attachments to friends, to family, to our body, to our possessions. So think that we've taken care of everything, you know, all our wills made out, our possessions are given away. You know, we've been in pain for some time maybe, so we're feeling ready and relaxed to start to go through, you know, this feeling of like starting to move away from the body and the appearances of this life. We've done everything we need to do. We're friends, family, attachment, possessions. And we're moving into a deep place in our side ourselves where we know we need to go to now. And the main thing when we start to pass is that all the senses, our senses, sight, smell, taste, everything, it's kind of deteriorated. You know, we're no longer really getting any pleasure from any of the senses, from our food, from things we see. You know, everything's a bit distant. We almost feel like there's a natural process of our consciousness starting to absorb in the body. Sense consciousness is starting to absorb into themselves. We're just naturally letting go of everything, all the appearances of this life. So as I said, first is all the sense consciousnesses starting to absorb into themselves. So everything feels different, different and distant in terms of our sense consciousnesses. Just like when we start to meditate, we disengage for the senses. So we're doing that now. And actually, the first sign that we're going to pass is a mental sign. So we're going into mental signs that appear in the mental consciousness. As the body gets a bit heavier, the earth element in the body dissolves or absorbs. We get an internal sign of a mirage. Just like we're in a desert and from far away there's a mirage that appears in our mental consciousness. That's a sign that the earth element's absorbed into the water element. And there's an appearance of a mirage. So you tell yourself this is the first sign the death process is happening. So I know that I'm moving into the death process because there's an appearance of a mirage. Then slowly that mirage starts to disappear as the heat element in the body absorbs. So the water element, absorbs into the heat element. And in place of mirage, what starts to appear is the appearance of smoke. Again, somewhere in the distance, but we see it in our mind's eye, an appearance of smoke. And this is the second sign that the elements are continually to absorb or dissolve. and I might feel a bit cold in the body, but we're trying to slowly just focus on the signs in the mind. And then after some time, that appearance of the mirage starts to disappear as our element of water absorbs into the fire element of the body, and we get appearance of fire sparks, or like fireflies in the distance, but still in our mind. And we just tell ourselves this is the, another element absorbing in the body. And this is a sign that I'm getting closer, more and more closer to the subtle minds, as the grosser elements, conceptual consciousnesses absorb. But we just remember it's just an appearance to the mind. Just try and stay calm and reminding ourselves this is just the process of the gross consciousnesses absorbing. And then slowly, that appearance of the fire sparks, the fireflies, that also absorbs, disappears. And the next appearance is the appearance of a distant, like flicker of a candle flame. It's like a blue reddish color. And that's the fire element absorbing into the wind element, the gross wind element, the breath. And we can see just as that appears, our breath, our heart, they're going to stop. We know that with that appearance, that the gross breathing, but we just step back and allow that process to happen because we're meditating. We're going more and more into the subtle consciousness. These are just appearances of the mind as the gross consciousness absorbs, finally into the air element, and we stop breathing. And there's appearance of that very subtle kind of red-blue flame as the breathing and the heart stop. But we're still in the meditation, just focused on that light, and remembering it's just an appearance of the mind. But in that place, I'm going to keep meditating as I move into the subtle level of consciousness, where the element from the Father, what I receive for the Father, that white element absorbs, it dissolves down into the heart, and my consciousness gets absorbed in an experience of bright white light. Again, like the light on a mountain top when it's covered with snow. The whole consciousness gets absorbed in white light. And this is me moving into a subtle consciousness. We try to remember its nature is emptiness. Just be one with the white light and emptiness. And then the element for the mother, the blood that's in the subtle body, that absorbs and comes into the heart. And slowly the white experience of white light gets, it dissolves. And in its place is an experience of a bright red sky, like a copper red sky, an autumn sky. And it pervades our whole consciousness. This is called the red increase. And we try to remember its nature is emptiness. And I'm still moving into, I still haven't got to the final meditation. There's one more appearance. When we sort of move into, when the red and white drop at the heart, the red and white experience at the heart goes into what we call the subtle drop, and we get this experience replaced by the red light of a black vacuity, like a really clear nighttime. Called the black near attainment. And we try to remember ourselves, we're not quite at the final meditation. We're still in the subtle consciousness. Then from that black vacuity, we kind of slightly go unconscious. We lose that for a moment. And then from there, we go into the very subtle conscious, the clear light. It's like the dawn time, a dawning of our clear, crystal clear nature, like the freshness and pristine quality, just as the sun is rising out of the sky. It's like this really dawn, fresh appearance. And that's our most subtle minded clear light. And that's the most peaceful one that we touch at the death time. And we think this is me, oneness with my pure nature. This nature is emptiness. So for great masters, yogis, they stay in that place for a lot. They can meditate with complete clarity in that place. They're waiting to get back there to realize emptiness. In that place, there's no anger, no fear, no delusion. It's a completely pristine, clear consciousness. So if we're able to meditate through the death process at the death time and be able to abide consciously in that state, we can also achieve liberation and enlightenment right here. And it's only from that place that the consciousness leaves the body when we finish our meditation, our experience in the clear light. It's from there that we move into either a good future rebirth via the Bardo, or a Pure Land, or a lower rebirth, depending on the quality of consciousness at the death time. So when you're ready, just slowly come back out your meditation, and we'll just finish with a couple of dedications for the class. Due to these merits and all the merits of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and all sentient beings of the three times, may I quickly attain the state of Aryatara and lead all living beings without exception to that enlightened state. Chanju senjo rinpoche magi panam ge gyurshi geva nyamba me bayi gone gonde belwar shok. May the precious view of emptiness not yet born arise. May that arisen not decline but increase more and more. Incomparably kind and supreme Tenzin Gyatso, the wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, may you have a long life and all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And also want to dedicate for Lama Zopa Rinpoche's, it's due to Rinpoche's kindness, really, and Lama Yeshe and His Holiness, that we have these centres. You know, it's really, whether we've met them or not, we are the recipient of their bodhicitta. You know, so really, what motivates us to get realizations? I think it's when we look at the example of the gurus and the lamas and how much they can do with their minds. You know, it's unbelievable. With their presence, their minds, their teachings, how much they can motivate others, you know, inspire others because of the power of their realizations. You know, we have so many centres, projects. I mean, Lama and Rinpoche started with no money in Nepal in the 60s with nothing, you know. And due to their power, their presence, realizations, teachings, inspiration, guidance, we have over 100 centres in this organisation, service projects, so many students benefiting directly or indirectly. So, you know, that's what we can do when we develop bodhicitta, when we develop wisdom realising emptiness. So really they are our main source of inspiration. It's just that they've done the work and we still have to do it. Some more. But we're doing it, so that's good, you know, just more and more and more. So also want to dedicate for Kapche Lama Zopa Rinpoche's incarnation to be recognized, the unmistaken one, and for that him to be also a great Lama, manifest developing all the realizations to become a great Lama for us sentient beings again in that life. And for whatever other motivations we have, as dedications, for all of us to have our aspirations, and especially Dharma aspirations, to be fulfilled, and for all of us to continue to practice for all sentient beings. Thank you so much. So it was a little bit short, that last meditation, but you can do longer, but it was just to give you an idea of what happens. It's absolutely fascinating what happens in the death process. Of course, we might think, well, I don't really believe that. Maybe you do, I don't know, but the more you study and practice and read, and I think it's, you get clear that we do have these levels of consciousness, and, it's very possible that all that goes on at the death time, I mean, we don't really have an answer in the West. And I think it makes a lot of sense when you see some of these great beings. Even when some of us pass away, some people can be for 2 days, and they're very peaceful around them, very, very peaceful when you're around someone who passes, who's had a good life, So I think we feel like there's definitely something still going on, even when the breath stops. There's still a big presence there for certain people when they pass away. So it's very interesting. So even though we can't do that meditation at the death time, even we can, but if we have a very virtuous life, we will stay in we will stay in our, our consciousness. Clear like nature will still sit in the presence of that for some time if you've had a good life. It can be up to 3 days, depending on the level of merit. And if you can really meditate, you can stay in it longer, or less, depending on what you want to do, but some lamas, they're in for, I think one of my lamas went at 15, 16 days. And also all you smell is scent and flowers, and there's a lot of scent coming from the body because of their pure morality, It's not like when normal folks pass away. So it's really, amazing. So if we have a good life, we don't need to be afraid at death time. It's just another, I mean, maybe we'll all be glad to get rid of this body at the death time. Depending on how old you get, we'll be happy to get a new jacket, Anyway, thank you so much. So we still have one more class on Tuesday, going through the last kind of parts of Tantra and the practice and the kayas, the bodies of the Buddha, what happens there, a little bit more about initiation and the importance of the guru. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And I guess none of you sacrificed the the football, the soccer. It wasn't your thing. Okay, thank you.